Hey, Josh, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you so much. We just really appreciate your time today. We do have some questions that have come in that I'll ask for you. And again, from one fellow Michigander to another, we just so appreciate your time being here today. So one of the questions came in from Mitchell. If you could please explain your definition of the judo flip again, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm glad that you're a fellow Michiganian. That's awesome. I'm right here in Detroit right now, so that's awesome. Born and raised. So a judo flip is simply this. You first a simple way to do it is this. Let's say you're trying to solve a problem. And you say, okay, how have I always solved the problem before? And list out those ways on a piece of paper. Then you might expand. How do others in our industry solve the problem? And list those out on the piece of paper. Then just draw a line down the page and ask yourself, next to each of the ways that have done before, what's the polar opposite? So if the normal way that you approach a problem is we bring in our most experienced people, the judo flip version would be, let's bring in our least experienced people. If the normal way you serve a customer and say, how can we come up with the most expensive approach? Maybe you say, how can we come up with the least expensive approach? So it's just taking the core element that you've done before, the conventional wisdom, flipping it upside down in order to yield a better result.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And a question from Warren. How do you reinvent a corporate culture where fear reigns supreme over innovation?
Oh, awesome question, Warren. Thank you for asking that. So first of all, I don't mean to be glib. It's not easy. And certainly the larger and more established an organization is, the more difficult it can be. But a couple thoughts. First of all, I think the best way to do it I've seen is both a grassroots, like bottom-up approach and a top-down approach. On the top-down approach, I think we need to really be honest with our leaders. And I know there are many leaders on the phone, but when we decide to reinvent or not, to innovate or not, we're doing a risk-reward calculation. Think about like the scales of justice. So if we perceive doing nothing is really safe and doing something new is really risky, we're just not going to do anything new. Fear reigns supreme. So first thing we got to do is shine a bright flashlight on the real risk of doing nothing. Like, how did that work out for Oldsmobile? How's it working out for Pan Am Airlines? So I think we got to be honest with ourselves that if we stand still, we're just going to get plowed over by the change that's around us. We're not living in a static environment. We're living in a rate of change like none other in history. So then what we got to do is we have to de-risk trying something new. If innovation is, hey, can I just have a blank check at unlimited time and I don't really know what the results are going to be, your CEO is just going to call security. Instead, what we do is we de-risk the process by small, manageable, bite-sized experiments. So instead of like wide sweeping change, which people generally have a low appetite for, how can we take lots of small, little teeny shots on goal? Little teeny experiments that are fixed time, fixed money experiments. And let's say we each run 5 experiments a week and know full well that 4 of them will fail. But that one that doesn't fail, then we can double the size of that experiment and double it again and double it again. So by the time we actually do wide sweeping change, we haven't taken an irresponsible risk. So leaders, what we need to do is show that there's a high risk of doing nothing, and we can then de-risk the process of embracing innovation. On the ground up side, what best thing I've seen done is sort of little teeny skunk works, grassroots efforts that put points on the board early. The best way to eradicate the doubters is to show them results. So instead of starting with something that's like this wild, changing, massive idea that's high risk, find something that's little, see if you can put your shoulder behind it and almost make sure that you're going to generate some success. And then walk in with the result. Hey, on my spare time, we took 2 hours and $50 and we did this prototype and look what it did. Now can I double that? And how can I double it again? So if you can, at the grassroots level, get people to take small little bets, show some results, that's going to get the doubters at bay.
Excellent. And kind of related is from Michael Sean Corby. Any signs to look for when one of your reach for weird ideas maybe isn't working and it's time to just call it a bad idea?
Yeah, it's funny. The first book that I wrote was called Disciplined Dreaming. And you think like those two words don't go together. You think of people that are creative as like these wild, gun blazing risk takers, and they're messy and sloppy. And you don't have to be, actually. I'm not like that at all. And so I think it's about the intersection of, again, discipline and dreaming. And so what you do is, I'd suggest that we're always trying lots and lots of really weird ideas, but we're measuring them. And let's let not our emotion always lead the way, but let's let the data lead the way. So if we tried that package of bananas, for example, that I showed earlier, that were organized by ripeness, and you wouldn't try that in like 1,000 grocery stores at once. You try it in one store for 2 days and then measure the sales results. If it works, then you might say, let's do it for a week. If it works again, you might say, let's try it in a second store. And so to me, what I like doing is as many possible weird ideas that you can test, the better, and then quickly get rid of the ones that aren't working and double down on the ones that are.